Hi, it's me, your career guardian angel, and today I'm giving you a powerful pep talk. Here are the signs that this message was meant for you. Number one, your life feels boring and repetitive, and you find yourself asking, is this all there is? And maybe you originally really liked your job, but now you feel like it's just dragging your feet, almost as if you're being forced to go to the dentist on a daily basis. Another sign is that you just have this feeling of wanting more out of yourself, out of your life, but you look around and you see you have it better than most people. And so you actually feel guilty for even wanting more and not just appreciating what you already have. But there's this deep part of you that feels like you want more meaning. You want to have more impact. You want to use the God-given gifts that you have received to do something beautiful, magical, and wonderful in the world. And maybe you already have a knowing of what that might be. You might have these inklings, spontaneous downloads. Maybe you're getting these intuitive nudges. But before you can do anything with it, you overthink and you talk yourself out of it and you don't take action towards that. And if you're being really honest, maybe one day has become one of your favorite excuses. And finally, you can't shake this feeling that somehow you're settling or compromising in your career and in your life. And unfortunately, you're mostly mad at your own self because you know that you are the one who's holding you back. If any of those resonated with you, I assure you that you are not alone. In fact, that was me just 5 years ago. And even more than that, this is the same story I hear over and over again, working with hundreds of amazing, brilliant women from around the world who have done everything right, but somehow are left feeling stuck and unfulfilled. So why is this? My theory is that women like us, women who have Ferrari brains, okay, a Ferrari brain is very intelligent, goes a million miles a minute, has all these beautiful qualities, but also is pretty sensitive to things like overthinking and getting stuck and being stuck in these vicious thought patterns and cycles. And what I've noticed is that women like us with these Ferrari brains, and let me know in the comments if you resonate with having a Ferrari brain, I've noticed that women like us tend to suffer more from this burden of unfulfillment versus the average person. And that's because women like us, we have been designed to be in our zone of genius. And yet most of us are raised and push and end up being stuck in our zones of competence and zones of excellence, especially in our careers, where ultimately we are left feeling drained. And if you're not familiar with this concept of zone of genius, this is the idea that you have a specific type of work that only you can do. And not only is it wildly exciting, deeply fulfilling, but it's also energizing to you and not exhausting. And it's not just what you're good at, it's really what you're meant to be doing in this world. And I'm proud to say that I am someone who's currently living in my zone of genius, being your career guardian angel. This doesn't mean everyone has to go out there and become a coach. In fact, I never had it on my life bingo card that I would be a coach. But this is what emerged when I went down that rabbit hole and that process of determining what is my zone of genius? What is going to be my legacy in the world? How can I use my gifts more? And back in 2020, I went down this path of figuring out my unique gifts, values, and passions. And then I also learned about my human design, which you've heard me talk about. And so I learned how exactly I'm meant to impact the world and how I can create that success in a way that doesn't require toxic hustle culture, doesn't require more masculine energy out of me. No, thank you. But in fact, can be filled with that feminine flow and ease. All right, so let's get back to your pep talk. What I'm sharing with you today is based on my work with hundreds of driven, incredible women just like you. I say you guys have big hearts and big dreams. And what I want to share with you today is the 5 things that you need to know so that you are able to own your genius and create a world and create a life that you are absolutely lit up by. I'm also going to share 5 things that you can do in order to do that. Okay, are you ready? Let's start with the 5 things you need to know. Number 1, genius is not rare. In fact, we all have our own unique genius, but we've been raised in a world that believes that genius is extremely exceptional and most people will never reach genius levels, but that is absolutely not true. Not only is that not true, but we were actually designed and we are meant to mostly be in our zone of genius. It's not something that we're meant to do, sometime randomly a little bit. It's actually what we're supposed to be doing most of the time. Being in your genius is natural and normal, and it is your birthright. And if you're here, I know that resonates with you. Number two, I'm going to be frank. Owning your zone of genius is absolutely terrifying. It is so, so scary. But let me tell you what's actually more dangerous to you. It's more dangerous for you to compromise and not reach for your zone of genius, not take that leap, for you to compromise on your gifts, for you to stay in that comfort zone. That is a slow death. That is a guaranteed drainage, withering away, lack of joy and fulfillment. That is actually scarier than the fear that you imagine in your mind, which we'll get to in a second, about going after your zone of genius. Number three, I want to talk about how you feel on a daily basis, because the zone of genius is not just our talents and what we create, it's also how we feel while we're doing that, right? And so what I want to share with you is that you being energized and lit up is also your natural state. And you might remember times in your life when you did feel energized, lit up, and you were following that intuitive nudge towards the things that were really appealing to you. And you became magnetic and you were attracting all these other opportunities. And you might have thought that was an exception. That was a glitch. You got lucky. And I'm here to tell you, no, no, no. Your past experiences of how everything was going well when you were lit up and energized, that is evidence for what is your natural state. You're actually supposed to feel that way, in my opinion, 80% of the time, not the other way around, which is how most driven and ambitious women feel. We feel like,
what a rude truck. Like, don't they know I'm giving a pep talk to women out there who need to hear this? Like, so annoying and such a lack of consideration.
so to summarize, you being lit up, magnetic, energized is your natural state. You being drained, dimmed, feeling dread, by the way, one of the most awful human emotions, that is not natural. And that's why it hurts so much. It hurts you to feel this way. This meh feeling hurts because it's not right. It's not your truth. It's not how you're meant to be functioning on a daily basis. Number four, you were given these gifts as well as these desires, a vision for your life, for what you want to achieve and create for a reason. You were given these gifts because you're meant to use them. Why would God give you these gifts for them to just sit within you, hidden, buried, never seen by the light of day, and also not giving you tremendous joy by having used them?
It makes no sense.
And the last thing I need you to know is that your mind and your fears are what got you to this level, to this point in your life. No doubt a good place, some successes. But if you want to reach next level, you're going to have to go there a different way, because if you use the same methods, you're going to have the same results. So what do we use instead of our mind and our fears? We need to follow our hearts and our dreams. Don't cringe. Please don't cringe. This is extremely serious. And this is actually the most logical thing that you can do, following your heart and listening to those dreams. But the problem is that most ambitious women are trained to do the opposite. We're trained to bulldoze over our feelings, bulldoze over our desires. We're essentially trained most of the time to be these robots that are focused on performance and productivity. We're used to use our mind to solve all our problems, make all our decisions. But once again, that's what got you here. If you want to go to the next level, you're gonna have to tap into a different source of wisdom. And for me, that is in your body and in your heart. All right, I hope I have your Ferrari brain wheels turning with those. Now let's talk about action. Let's talk about what you need to do in order to own your genius and create a life that lights you up. Number one thing I recommend as a foundation is learning about your human design. Your human design chart offers you a blueprint for how your energy works, what your unique gifts are, how you're meant to impact the world, how you're meant to interact with others. There is a wealth of knowledge in there, and a lot of it you will have already known, but the point is that this human design chart can confirm that for you, give you that permission slip so you can stop doubting it, stop overthinking it, and just go for it. And if you're curious about learning about your human design, I invite you to book a one-on-one private session with me. You can also check out my 3-hour free masterclass here on YouTube called How to Manifest Using Human Design, and that will also give you the foundation of what you need to know to get started. All right, what else do you need to do? Number 2, you need to actually identify your zone of genius. And specifically, what you need to do is you need to dissect your zone of genius. I'm pointing because there's this quadrant chart that we do, and when you're my client or if you're in one of my group programs. But you need to differentiate what falls into your zone of genius versus your zone of excellence versus your zone of competence and zone of incompetence. This is based on the work by Gary Hendricks and his famous book, The Great Leap, which I highly recommend. And you really have to fine tune and understand what is actually, especially the excellence versus genius. A lot of ambitious women are stuck in excellence because we get praised for certain skills. We've made our careers in certain domains, but ultimately we are drained by that zone of genius, excellence. And it is time, if you feel that calling from your heart and your soul, it is time to start shifting into your zone of genius. Not only is that going to make you happier, but it's also going to have a bigger impact on the world. And if any of this sounds overwhelming or confusing, this is also one of my zones of genius. It's to help you find your zone of genius. It's actually also in my human design chart to be able to really see you deeply and mirror back to you what your greatest talents, strengths, gifts are in this world. Number 3, speaking of getting out of your mind and getting back into your heart, what does that really mean? It means getting in touch with your intuition. This is a non-negotiable. This is a non-negotiable for women who want to do big things in their lives and want to create their dream lives. It's not going to come from your brain and rational logic. It's not going to come from there. That's what got you here, remember? So in order to get to that next level, you have to understand what your intuitive type is, how to strengthen your connection so that you can actually not only hear your intuition, but confidently listen to its direction and take decisive action and also aligned action towards what you're meant to be doing in this world. And not only will it end up being what you're meant to do, but it's also going to feel so much yummier, I promise. Number 4, and this gets a little bit painful, but if you truly want to own your genius and not settle and have a life that lights you up, you have to be brutally honest with yourself on where in your life and how you are settling. You are compromising. You are playing small. You're not going after what you want. You're tolerating mediocrity, either in yourself, in your relationships, in your career, in your health. Once you've identified how you're compromising and once you've swallowed that tough pill, because a lot of it you would have allowed and you would have allowed to continue happen in your life, or you are continuing in your life, you have to decide to slowly or quickly dissolve that, remove that, like a warrior queen with a sword, go in there and slash that out of your life so that you can be free to have the time and energy for the things that do light you up, for the things that are not settling, for the things that do represent your dream life, for the things that do align for your vision for yourself. And then the 5th thing you have to do is you have to commit to loving yourself enough to do the damn thing. Loving yourself enough to be scared and go for it. Loving yourself enough to take that authentic, aligned, audacious action towards your most abundant destiny. No one can do this work for you. And in fact, by going after your destiny and your zone of genius, that does have a feedback loop of creating more of that self-worth, that self-confidence, and that self-love. I have a saying that you'll only be as successful and happy as your self-worth will allow you to be. And a big act of self-worth and self-love is deciding to muster up whatever amount of courage that you do have right now to take the next step. There you have it. I hope some of these things that I shared today have shaken you up, shaken you out of your complacency, and have lit a fire under your beautiful butt to go out there and really rethink what you're doing in your life, why you feel stuck, why you have a lot of meh, and how you can turn that into a life that's filled with being lit up, energized, and excited. I welcome your thoughts and your questions in the comments below. And if you're someone who is ready to stop sleeping on yourself, stop settling on your potential, and you're ready to create a life that feels like a hell yes, where you wake up lit up, energized, confident, and you know what you need to do in order to own your genius and to create your dream life, then I invite you to check out my program.
You didn't come this far to be nah.
This is a very special program in which I'll be teaching you the exact tools and techniques that I used to step into my own zone of genius, which has resulted in me doing this work full-time right now for almost 3 years and feeling more fulfilled than ever. Basically, this program is a rocket ship to your next level, where not only are you going to profoundly change your life, but you're going to have so much fun because you're going to be doing this life-changing work along with 10 other amazing, brilliant, ambitious women just like you. And ultimately, this program is really about freedom. The freedom to be you, the freedom to be loved and recognized for who you are, and the unique magic that only you can bring into the world. If that sounds good to you, fill out the application that I'll link in the description. It would be my honor to guide you on this life-changing, fun journey. Because remember, on their deathbeds, people don't regret what they did. They regret what they didn't do. And that's the end of your pep talk. Love you lots!